What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining us. We're coming at you live. This is NBA Showdown, Clippers versus Warriors. Thanks for joining us, guys. Much appreciated. My name is Tyson Smith. I'm joined by Ellie Hernandez. Ellie, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty disappointed in myself for taking Bradley Beal out of the one lineup that I had him in.
Did you really? How's he doing?
He's got 59 real life points last time I checked. God. So obviously it's a no cash kind of night if you don't have him in GPPs. But
he what is he, 1% owned? Like, no one's got him in single entries in cash. So as long as you're playing some cash, you should be fine. And as long as you played Boogie Cousins, I mean, the dude's like 80% owned in cash. I feel bad for the 20% of the field that didn't play him.
Bro, he has over 40 fantasy points. And what was he projected between 25 and 35? 35. That's fucking crazy.
He had 9 points and 10 rebounds in the first quarter. Now he's sort of slowing down. He's still got 9 points. We need that double bonus from him. That'd be pretty nice. So besides that, how you doing on main slate before we jump into this Clippers game? And chat, hit us up. Let us know how you guys are doing. Let us know what how your main slate's going too. But Ellie, what about you?
I'm doing fine, man. I've been playing a lot more cash lately, so as long as my cash hits, I think I'll be okay. I've got a couple deeper GPPs just because, it's an 11 game slate, so I feel like it's a little bit easier to get different. So may as well just submit that into a large field.
I've been loving the 7-man and the 5-man contests. You know what I mean? They're so much fun because they're relatively easy. And you don't have to be too risky with them. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, those are my favorite contests, dude.
The 20 max tournaments that I used to do all the time. I still do them on occasion. Just when we're doing this show, it takes a little, it takes some time out of my schedule. So, but those things are, they're stressful. You put in a lot of time and effort for maybe you profit 10 cents, maybe you lose $1. Like, it's really interesting. All right, guys. We got a little comment here. Frank almost hit 10K last night, missed by 4 points. Damn, man. What'd you run at captain? All right, so let's just jump right into this. Let's look at the Vegas totals here, the Vegas numbers. We got the Clippers minus 179 favorites, 64% win probability. The over-under is 232. Ownership going a little bit more towards the Clippers. For Golden State, they're 4-point home dogs. An interesting game here. We've had some news throughout the day. Kawhi Leonard originally, potentially was going to rest on a back-to-back, and they earlier in the day labeled him in. And if he does play tonight, which I think he will, but there's always that chance that now that Paul George is going to play, there's always that chance that Kawhi, they could just sit him. Because he hasn't played a back-to-back in over 3 years at this point, I believe. It was like 2017 when he last played a back-to-back. So, thankfully we're live here, so we can react to any news that comes out. But as of now, it looks like all of the big names are in. We don't have any injury news when it comes to the Warriors. We'll get to the actual injuries. We'll talk about it a little bit more. But for right now, this total it was a little bit closer when PG-13 was ruled out, obviously. looks like the Clippers got an additional 6% win probability. They went from -140 to -179, and the total jumped up by 2. So, Ellie, what jumps out to you here? It's a decent total. Golden State has been doing pretty well. They're with Draymond Green coming back. They've actually been able to play a little bit more consistently as long as Steph goes off and the surrounding pieces like Oubre and Wiggins can actually do well along with the Wiseman. It looks like they probably have a shot in this game. So what are your thoughts on this game overall?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, dude. I really don't know what's going to happen just because we've seen the Clippers just completely suck dick, and we've seen them just dominate. I mean, so I'm still a little skeptical of what's going to happen here. And yeah. I think you're right on about Kawhi, right? This is a back-to-back. So I do think that there's a possibility that he at the very least ends up with a DNP or limited
minutes. Be a late scratch. Like it's now that we know that about PG-13, they want to have at least one of these guys in. So that's probably why Kawhi was going to play. So now that PG-13, as long as Paul George is he feels like at least 70% or 80%, I tend to think that there is a shot that we can get some last minute news on Kawhi here. So just be by your computers, be ready to go until we get those official starting lineups.
Yeah. Other than that, man, I really don't think I'm really not too shocked about any of this. It's a little bit closer than I expected it to be. I figured this would be a little bit over a 4-point spread. But Golden State's a different team when Steph is fired up and the team gets fired up around him. Draymond Green obviously provides a little bit of an edge. So I definitely think this has the opportunity to stay competitive. So it should be an interesting game from a DFS perspective.
All right, so let's move over to injuries here. Like I said, Paul George, reports are out that he will play along with Marcus Morris. He'll play his first game of the season. So interestingly enough, with Marcus Morris, we'll talk about him here in a minute when we get into the breakdown. But Marcus Morris has not played all year, and he's an interesting tournament option in my opinion. We just don't know. He's projected, I think, for 20 minutes. Is that what I see him at? So at that salary, not necessarily a great value, but the fact that hasn't played this year and can just jump right in there, we just don't know what he's going to do. So a good tournament option there. Kawhi Leonard, like I said, he was listed as sort of questionable yesterday and into today, but he should play. Notice how I said should. So keep an eye on things. Nothing to talk about with the Warriors here. So what happens here? What happens if, God forbid, any of these guys randomly is a late scratch? Like if Paul George somehow is not ready to play tonight, who do we boost up? And we won't necessarily need to talk about this too much. We'll talk more about Kawhi because I think Paul George will play. But who gets the biggest boost if Paul George happens to be a late scratch?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is pretty straightforward, right? If one of these guys are out, you play the other guy. I think they become near lock at the captain position. But I think it opens up, obviously, a lot of value on the bench. I think Nick Batum is probably going to be one of the guys who gets the largest bump just because I honestly don't know much about that guy, but I watched him a little bit wherever he was last season, and I'm kind of glad that he's getting his opportunity here. Yeah. Now, I am curious as to what Marcus Morris back will do to his minutes, but honestly, I think Nick Batum's a great play. So, hey, what's up, man?
What's up, A-Town? Didn't miss anything. We're just talking about injuries, talking about potential. If Kawhi were to actually be a scratch here, what do we do? So, if Kawhi, I'm not telling you guys that this is going to happen. We just want to be ready because when's lock 7? So we've got 36 minutes. So I don't want to go crazy. Sorry about that. I'm reading the chat. Yeah, exactly. Hey man, Joshua Johnson, it happens.
What'd you have? What was your lineup?
So look, if Kawhi were to be scratched because he's playing on a back-to-back at this point, and now that Paul George is going to be in, the biggest boost is to Serge Ibaka in as far as usage. He gets a boost up to 28% usage, and we're talking about a small sample size here. We're talking about a few games, a few minutes. This isn't like a whole season worth. And then the next biggest is PG-13. He's up to 35% usage without Kawhi. So he's a lock, and he's a lock at captain if Kawhi were to not, if he had a minutes limit as well, maybe we see Kawhi on a minutes limit tonight. I just don't know. We have to wait for some news. So anything else with this that we should talk about? What do you think about Marcus Morris before we move on? Worth a little flyer?
Yeah, sure. If you're in a deeper GPP, honestly, I hope he doesn't play so I can just not have to question Nick Batum one bit.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move over to the starters here. When it comes to the Clippers, we got Pat Bev, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Nicholas Batum, and Serge Ibaka. Going to the other side, Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre, Draymond Green, and James Wiseman. So, like we always do, we're going to assume that all these guys are playing unless news comes out. Who's your favorite options off the bench here? Zubac, Lou Williams, Kennard, Marcus Morris. Can we get to Reggie Jackson? I think he's only projected for 15 maybe or 10 minutes. Depends. We'll have to look here in a minute. And can we go with Wanamaker, Pascal, Lee, Kevon Looney, Kent Bazemore? Who are your favorite guys off the bench on the low end? If we're going to play these expensive guys, we're going to have to find some value somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, so the Clippers are a little bit priced up, right? It feels like they're priced as if either Kawhi or Paul George wouldn't play. So I really,
Gafford screwed us. The Temple did well. All those guys did well. Everyone in the damn game did well last night, I feel like, except for Gafford.
Levine kind of had a middling performance. If he would have made a couple of those shots at the beginning of the game, I think that would have helped us a lot from the get-go. But obviously that's not going to get Gafford there, so,
Exactly.
So, yeah, back to the Clippers bench, I just think that they're priced closer to one of these guys being out. So I really don't have too much interest in them unless somebody ends up being out, right? I'm prioritizing their starters, Kawhi and PG-13, and then Nick Batum, like I've been saying, right? But if I need to dip into their bench, obviously Lou Williams is going to be a fine play. Zubac is going to get probably 22 minutes against some middling center output from Golden State. So he's going to have an opportunity to get some points. And Luke Kennard is definitely interesting. But again, Marcus Morris coming back is going to eat into some of those minutes. Reggie Jackson, I don't give a shit about anymore until he starts getting about the 20-minute mark.
Yeah.
Everybody below that, they won't even be in my player pool. On the Golden State side, I like Wanamaker, Damian Lee, Kevon Looney, and Kent Bazemore. Eric Paschal is obviously in play, but the rest of the guys are like 2,200 and below, and all projected for over 15 minutes. So I think you're going to have decent value coming from the Golden State bench.
Looney had 12 minutes against SAC and scored 17.7 fantasy points. That was an interesting output for him. He was crushing in his limited minutes. So if there's any opportunity with any sort of foul trouble, or if Looney gets any extra run, he's an option. I just don't know how much you want of him simply because of his minutes limit. He's probably 15 minutes is probably right around what he's projected for, right? 14 minutes on mine is what I'm seeing here. All right.
We got a 15 on RG. It's not a big difference.
So we got 30 minutes to lock here-ish, like 31 minutes. Let's get right into the breakdown here.
Break it down.
All right. So we're going to start with our Captain Crunch. Our Captain Crunch slide here. If you haven't joined us here in a minute, if you haven't joined us and seen this yet, this is basically, I've crunched out 250 lineups per captain. And these are the absolute sorted by the best lineups when it comes to projected points, to top ceiling, top floor, et cetera, et cetera. So Ellie, you haven't seen this before. What jumps out to you here? Obviously, Paul George, Kawhi, and Steph Curry are the best high projected points and low projected points guys. So you have the highest ceiling and the highest floor if you go with them. But does anybody jump out to you when it comes to tournament plays here?
Yeah, really, James Wiseman, I think, from a GPP perspective, I mean, he has the top ceiling there. And I'm less concerned about him. I understand he's going to have a little bit tougher of a matchup than against Portland. Well, Yeah, I mean, all the games are running close together, but I'm pretty sure that was the last one we did with these guys.
Yeah.
I think he's coming into his own. The only thing that concerns me there is he's usually projected around 22 to 24 minutes. If he catches fire and gets closer to the 27-minute mark, I think he's a great captain play because he doesn't cost any fucking money.
Yeah.
Other
for
than
sure.
that, I think you really need to prioritize essentially Steph Curry, Kawhi, and PG-13. If one of Kawhi or Paul George are out, then they automatically get the boost to the one spot. But if this game is competitive from a Golden State standpoint, it is going to be because Steph Curry's going the fuck off and keeping them in a competitive in a game against two elite players. Normally I'd be okay going with some of these cheaper guys, but this game script just makes it very, very difficult to shy away from the top guys. I feel you, man.
Yeah, one line. I'm doing like 3 lines, I think, tonight. I would be doing more, obviously, if I wasn't doing the show. But it's we the lineups we build and what we talk about. We're like Ellie and I are both entering those lineups, so we're putting our money's where our mouth is here.
And here's another thing, right? If you're struggling a little bit and feeling tight from a bankroll perspective, go enter a 3-man contest. You do a $2 3-man contest, you're gonna win like $5.50. It's just an easy way to kind of build a bankroll, and you can honestly submit the optimal lineup because most people try to get too creative when they're doing that. Just submit the safest, grab something with a really high ceiling, and just play that, and you're gonna do okay. So
and we'll together we'll build the optimal lineup based on the latest news, the latest projections. We'll just crunch it out and say this is the best lineup, the highest projected. And we can talk about whether or not this is actually a good cash play or not. And those kind of lineups, if you enter into a 3, 5-man, 7-man, you can easily profit. It's a slow trickle, but over time you will profit more often than not. So yeah, James Wiseman here, man, at that price tag, I really feel like he's a good tournament option. He has the top ceiling and the top floor. So to me, I'm going to go with some James Wiseman lineups in my larger field tournaments. For my single entries, I'm probably going to go Paul George because I don't think that people are going to. I mean, look at his ownership there at 13%. To me, I feel like Kawhi Leonard on a back-to-back is just potentially going to get a little bit more time on the bench. And maybe they just default to Paul George with somewhat fresh legs after having a game off. I don't know how he's feeling. I mean, no one knows that. But, if he's at even close to 100% tonight, Paul George is my guy in most of my captain lineups. I don't think you can consider Serge Ibaka at all in captain. That's just my opinion. He was not grading out well for me tonight at all. Oubre is always an option. And Wiggins is just sort of blah. If I had to rank them, I'd go for me, with ownership and everything included, I'd go Paul George these are my captain guys: Paul George, Steph Curry, Kawhi, and then for tournaments, I'd go Wiseman, Oubre. Do you agree with that, or do you have any other different opinion on that?
No, I think you're right on, man.
All right, so let me just switch over to my Excel sheet here. Bear with me, guys. And screen share. All right. So Ellie, talk to me here. What jumps out to you when I share this? When it comes to the top end, we've got Kawhi at 10.6 and Paul George at 10.4. If you had to choose, they're both getting around the same fantasy points per minute, the same projected minutes. If you had to choose one, who would you choose? And do you even have to choose one? Can you go with both of these guys tonight?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think tonight it's going to be a safe bet to go ahead and fade one of them. I think Kawhi is going to be the more comfortable fade because I really do think there's a reality in which he may not get DNP, but he could end up with 17 minutes or something along those lines, right? He may play the first rotation in the first half and then just not come back. So, yeah, I'm down. I'm all for it. I love Nick Batum. Yeah. So we'll get to that. But other than that, I think you're fine running Steph, Kawhi, and Paul George all in the same lineup. The amount of raw points you're going to get there is pretty safe. And just to be quite frank, I just don't have much interest in Wiggins, Ibaka, Oubre. And I guess I start to get a little more interested after that, right? But, the pricing still isn't there for me. And then we get into this mid-tier. I think my favorite play from the mid-tier overall is just going to be Nick Batum. I know you had some interest here in Marcus Morris, but I don't know. Nick Batum being $400 cheaper, 22% projection at the util, right? I just think he has way too much upside. And Marcus Morris, don't get me wrong, he can absolutely come out and crush. So if you're running, a contest that allows 150 max entries, then you may want to do something like that to get different. But for the most part, I think running Nick Batum and a guy like, if Eric Pascal is 5%, I mean, you get a guy like that in there for.
You get one guy in foul trouble, man, and Pascal's going to come in and go off. I mean, he was disappointing as hell this year. That's the reason why. In the first few games, the reason why his ownership's so low right now is because everyone fucking hates him. They're snake bitten by this guy, but he's come out when no one's cared and done well based on his amount of minutes.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I just think you can do whatever you want here with this Warriors tier. Obviously, Pascal's priced differently than these other guys with 1,600, 1,800, and 2,200. But, if you're priced at 1,600 and you're going to get 14, 15 minutes, I think you're 100% viable. And Kevon Looney, right? This is a center and a point guard. We're talking about this on all of our other shows. If you get some run, you have to be a pretty shitty fucking center to not accidentally get 4 or 5 rebounds in 14 minutes, right? Yeah. Like, so Brad Wanamaker, same thing. Like, if you can't get 3 assists in your 15 minutes and 3 or 4 shots off, you suck. You suck dick. You shouldn't be playing. So, that's what I think. I think these two guys are probably my favorite values right now. But again, if Kawhi is out and you're planning to fade him because of his minute usage, then I think you can start opening up to the Clippers bench. Also, real quick, Damian Lee, 2,600, 18 minutes. Again, he's going to get 6 rebounds in 14 seconds. So I definitely think he's worth playing.
So the interesting thing here to keep an eye on is the way this is sorted is by projected fantasy points. So if you just look at this and go, man, Patrick Beverly at 4K, and then Nick Batum at 6,200. This is all sorted from top to bottom by projected points. So the green, if you're looking at salary and you see the green pop up above an orange or a yellow, it's something to think about at least, because that means Patrick Beverly is projected for more fantasy points than Nicholas Batum. That's a very basic way of looking at this, but this is a way to just quickly figure out where the value is. And, Zubac at potentially 20 minutes, he was popping on the optimals. He was absolutely popping. So Sweet Lou, Ellie, what do you think about Sweet Lou? And also Fantasy Lab said Kawhi starting. Yes, he should be starting.
Yeah, look, Mike, we're planning for a late scratch. I mean, we're not planning for it. We want to make sure that we give you guys opportunities if you think that that's a possibility, right? We just want to talk it out briefly and see if there's plays that we can think of. Because to Tyson's point earlier, I don't think Kawhi's actually played on a back-to-back in years. Yeah, so
PG-13 is in. We're just preparing for the fact that, man, if he's a late scratch, there's a lot of value, and we need to be ready for that.
And to be honest, guys, I've just been burned before. It fucking sucks. Yeah. Anyways, Sweet Lou, for sure, man. $5,400, 19% ownership. I mean, look, quite frankly, that's dumb. That is a terrible ownership projection. If he's actually 19%, you fucking play him. Bazemore, you should get more minutes than Mulder.
Mulder shouldn't even be in your player pool, in my opinion.
So just here, you got Michael Mulder projected for 10 minutes, Bazemore for 16. If you think this is a blowout, then Michael Mulder probably end up with some more minutes. But again, so will probably Kent Bazemore. They should be out there playing together.
Yeah, and Bazemore's fantasy points per minute, his usage isn't. I mean, they're comparable players. Don't get me wrong, but we've seen Bazemore actually have way higher upside this year, in my opinion. All right, so Ellie, who's your favorite? What's the lowest we can go here when it comes to salary? Like, who's your bottom end guy that you're just not comfortable playing anymore? Are you drawing the line at Reggie Jackson?
No, bro. I mean, the lowest salary I see on there is 1,600 Brad Wanamaker, and I'll play him. He's going to get 15 minutes.
All right, so let's move over to our fade here. Let me switch my screen share. Sorry, guys. We're going fade of the night.
What's your name? Tony! Fuck you, Tony!
Ellie, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I just don't have interest in these guys at that kind of middling price range when I'm going to have to pay up. Excuse me, to get all the usage with Steph, Kawhi, and Paul George, and quite frankly, you can spend almost 2,000 less and end up with Draymond Green. So, yeah, I'm cool. And Gage, for sure, we can try and get one in a lineup like that. I think that's viable.
So for me, Serge Ibaka, look, I like Serge Ibaka. I've always liked Serge Ibaka. But to me, at 8,200, his price just does not justify me being able to fit him in simply because, look, you got Oubre, $600 cheaper. And look, I'm not saying I like Oubre more than Ibaka, but what I do like is getting all three of these Kawhis, Currys, and Paul Georges in the same lineup. And I'm more likely to go with one of them in the captain, which makes it really difficult to get a guy like Serge Ibaka at 8,200. You're going to have to punt on like multiple positions. And I'd rather just go a little bit lower, even Zubac, even as a pivot. I feel comfortable with Zubac, getting as much, getting a decent amount of opportunity. And, Serge Ibaka can get in foul trouble. So to me, there's an opportunity to fade Ibaka in this particular game. So let's go to our favorite captain choices here, Ellie.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
Crowning their ass on DraftKings. Oh, shit. Whoops. That got fucked up. I blew it. Ellie, you're going with Steph Curry here, right?
Yeah. Steph Curry is my captain.
Then crown their ass.
Let him off the hook. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, look, man, I'm all for Steph Curry tonight. I just think he's too good of a spot. If this game stays competitive, it's because of him. So that's really it.
So, look, PG-13 to me, I feel very comfortable with him getting a full amount of minutes. They're not going to play him in a game early in the season if he's not healthy enough. I'm very comfortable putting him at captain in most of my lineups because his ownership will be a little bit lower than it should be because of news. So for me, that's my favorite option here. And he just graded out based on this. He graded out really well, in my opinion, and his salary is a little bit lower, so you can fit in a little bit more minutes than you could with Steph Curry. But I'm with you. I'm gonna have most of my lineups are going to be PG-13 or Steph Curry at captain. And yes, fade Lillard again. That would be you can do it tonight, but no other night. All right, Ellie, you're up, bro. Let's do a lineup build. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right.
We're gonna get crazy right off the bat here. Oh, god damn it.
Hang on, before you do anything, Ellie.
Let's get the
get the optimal. So type in 0 zeros and get the exact optimal. All right, Kawhi.
Lineup, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Can you take a picture of that?
Officially stated.
All right.
Yeah,
cool.
if you guys are seeing news, forgive us. We're going. We have all of our devices in use here. I have my phone on, but as long as if I don't get an actual Pat cap, yep. DraftKings right. So the DraftKings is saying Kawhi is in. Is that what we're hearing? Everyone, let us know. I'll refresh some stuff here. Refresh the starting lineups, and yeah. Yep. Patrick Beverly, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Batum, Ibaka. And so we're good. So embrace the shit out of Kawhi for sure. Now, have you read anywhere? Have you guys seen anything on Twitter or anything about a minutes limit? I'll check Twitter right now. Ellie, while you're building this, this is a really good lineup here. I want to use this lineup in my single entry. There's no reason to get too crazy.
I am going to enter this into a 5-man. Real quick. Since we are doing cash, right?
Yes.
I don't mind Kent Bazemore either. I mean, he's going to get a decent amount of minutes, right? We talked about that.
So I don't see any reports about Kawhi being limited in any way with minutes. So we're going to fully embrace him. In my opinion, that's what I'm going to do. There's always a chance that shit gets crazy, and if they're up early in this game, we just sit him on the bench and he gets 20 minutes, and that would suck. But if it gets to that point, we're going to lose anyways because we can't really project the blowouts.
All right, so I do want to get crazy here and start with Nick Batum, and then we'll jump into it. So that last optimal was 222.
222. All right.
We're doing this. All right, we won all three. 42.50. So let's look at our value. Who do we like here? Damian Lee, 18 minutes, 2,600. 17 minutes for Kent Bazemore.
I don't know, man. I mean, Pascal is projected for 18 minutes, but I don't like it. He's not really projecting out well, fantasy points wise. I think you gotta think about Lou Will or Batum.
Well, we got Batum and captain on this one.
So Lou will it up then.
Well, okay. So this one we got Batum, Curry, Leonard, PG-13, Bazemore, Wiseman. Let's see where Lou Will's at.
Yeah, A-Town, that's exactly what we're talking about. It's been 3 years, so it kind of worries us if he's going to be limited. That's what worries me. Pat Bev, we'll do a Pat Bev cap. Yep.
Cool. So how do you guys like this one? I mean, we can even come off.
Dude, that's great.
At this point.
That's a great build.
Yeah, it's a 31. I mean, I'd be a little more comfortable with Damian Lee. I think this is a better.
So that's we're thinking about ceiling when we're building this. We're not thinking about median projections. We're thinking about ceiling because at 204 versus 222, that doesn't look very good. But when you're doing tournaments, you can do that kind of stuff.
Right. All right.
I really like Wiseman. I think we should embrace Wiseman a lot in these lineups. I think they're going to give him more freedom. Draymond Green loves this dude. They're going to try to involve him as much as possible.
Okay, so Pat Bev.
13 minutes to lock, guys. 13 minutes to lock.
All right, so we got Pat Bev captain. Obviously, Steph, Kawhi, Paul George. Anybody, if you want us to fade one of those three, just type it into the chat when we start building. But, I mean, you can see their projections here. Unless you have a solid idea, it seems kind of crazy. Let's see what happens. Can we get him?
Fading Steph Leonard? Damn, bro. Good luck.
Damn, that was close. So 6,000. We got James Wiseman. I mean, this is solid. Pat. Well, no, because you got Pat Bev at captain. But 210. This is a little bit higher projection than the Batum lineups.
Yeah, exactly. I want to build. When you're done with this lineup, let's do a Wiseman, and then let's do a PG-13.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's hit a Wiseman captain here. No. All right.
So let's do this, dude. Let's do two builds with this. Let's actually fade Kawhi in this lineup.
Okay.
That's the opto with Wiseman, 212.
212.
Yeah. Zubac. I love Zubac. That's a good option.
You want to fade Kawhi? So I assume we're leaving Steph and PG in there.
Steph and PG. Fade Kawhi in this lineup, and I'm only saying that this is a large field tournament. You're getting a ton of leverage if he happens to get 20 minutes because they don't feel comfortable rolling him out for his full workload on a back-to-back. That's the only reason why I'm saying this.
So then we think Nick Batum's probably going to eat those minutes, or Marcus Morris.
Probably. I'd say Serge. If either Serge or Lou is going to get the biggest boost.
Let's see what it gives us.
Yeah.
Okay. 6,100.
Where does that leave us here? Wiseman? Oh, he's in captain. Sweet Lou. We already got Sweet Lou. I'd rather go Zubac than Pascal, in my opinion.
Okay. Do we want to come up off of anybody? I mean,
that does worry me with Ibaka and Zubac in the same lineup, obviously. So that's a little risky.
So 4-2. So what if we came off of Fucking hate this laptop. Sorry, guys. All right. So what if we throw in Batum
700.
and 5,300? What does that put us on? Yeah, I guess we can do Zubac, or we can even go Pascal on this.
Yeah, I don't love Pascal because I just don't see the minutes being there, and he's not grading out. All right, let's do a Paul George line. This is our favorite, and then we got to get to a Curry to end it here. We've got 10 minutes. Paul George at captain. Go ahead and erase him there, bro.
Yeah, good call.
And then we'll do a Curry line. 10 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to be entering a shitload of these here.
216 is the optimal. I kind of like this core, actually. Steph, Kawhi, James Weissman.
Yeah.
We get Dre. No, we
Draymond
can.
did well the other day.
You have to go him or Weissman, it looks like.
A-Town, nice stats there. Appreciate it. Last 5 versus Golden State. So Pat Bev can go off, man. He can go off.
5,200. What does this give us? Pascal. Where's Pat Bev? 4K. That's not terrible. But we'd want to come up off Brad Wanamaker, obviously. 2,800. Damian Lee or Kent Bazemore.
Go Lee.
Yeah, I think Kent Bazemore was actually the optimal for this lineup. I kind of like this. I'm going to enter this.
Yeah, me too. Now, I want to do one more. I want to, in my tournament lineups here, I want to do fade Kawhi. Leave Paul George in the captain, fade Kawhi, X everyone else out, and then optimize and see what it comes up with.
Okay.
Or, I don't actually, you can't do that because it's going to want to plug Kawhi in. So we'll just have to hand build it. We got 8 minutes left. We'll do a Paul George captain without Kawhi.
Dude, it's no big deal. We'll just take him out of the player pool real quick.
Okay.
And who did you want? James Wiseman, you said?
Just optimize with everyone out. Bazemore, Beverly, Oubre, Wiggins, Curry. Interesting. I'm gonna enter that one.
If you want to come up off Bazemore, you can get to Damian Lee.
Get Lee instead. All
yeah.
Right. This is a good turn. This is good to, for tournaments to fade. Fade Paul George or Kawhi. This as an option. Damian Lee. I'll go Damian Lee. All right. So let's do here. Let me just enter this, and then we'll move on to Steph Curry. Pat Bev. I think Oubre and Wiggins will be underowned. Can you do so in this lineup, can you put Ibaka in?
Yeah, that's the one I just hand built, so that's hilarious.
Yeah, so put Ibaka in, lock Ibaka in, see what the optos sending us here.
Okay.
Just erase everybody, yeah.
So Wanamaker, Bev, Ibaka, Wiggins, Curry. That's not terrible, actually.
Not terrible. Paul George. I don't hate Wanamaker. It's just all about minutes. So Bev is popping. Ibaka, Wiggins, and Curry. All right. We've got 6 minutes left. Ellie, who else do you want to build with here?
Yeah, I need to get some.
You want to do an Oubre one? Is Oubre to me feels like he's going to be forgotten about. I think he's hitting his stride.
Let me get Curry in real quick.
Yeah. We'll do Oubre last.
Kawhi, PG. I want Batum. See what this does. Wanamaker, Pat Bev.
It seems like Pat Bev is the best value. I don't love Wanamaker. I think you can rotate between him and Damian Lee. I don't know that I love them in single entry or cash, but Pat Bev is looking pretty nice so far.
Yeah, I'm gonna answer this. Steph, Brad. Yeah, Brad Wanamaker's risky. And look,
Yeah, he is.
the problem is he's 1,600 and he's projected for a decent amount of minutes. So in
That's why.
218, yeah. Leonard George. I'm pretty sure I answered that lineup twice, so I'll have to double check.
Yeah,
No,
I think we did
okay.
enter this lineup. All right, so Pat Bev captain. Let's try that, and then we'll do Oubre. So Curry, George, Wiggins, Oubre, Williams. Let's see what that grades out as when it comes to projected points. 5 minutes.
So what we had, Curry.
So Pat Bev captain, Curry, George, Wiggins, Oubre, Williams. That's actually a really good lineup. Actually, I like fading Kawhi more than George for sure tonight because it's unknown. That's 203. So we're looking to unlock ceiling here with Pat Bev and unlocking a ton of minutes. I like Pat Bev and Lou Williams in the same lineup. I don't think a lot of people are gonna do that. I really don't.
If I'm being honest with you, though, I don't know if you need to go as far as to fade Kawhi if you're doing all that, right? So you can.
Town, if you enter that, let us know how that lineup does because I don't have any more entries left.
Yeah, I see. So you're gonna have Lou and end up with a guy like James Wiseman. I mean, this isn't awful either. I mean, 210. This is about 4 points higher projected because you got Kawhi and Wiseman instead. Pat Bev should be 2-3% at the captain at most. So you can kind of jam in some chalk, and then you might be different enough just having Lou Will in the same lineup as Pat Bev at captain.
So what are some rules? I'm sorry, dude. Real quick before things lock, are there any rules that you're going to set if you were to be multi-entering? Would you set any rules for this? Would you limit who? Would you do Zubac and Ibaka in the same lineup? Like, what are you doing for rules?
No, normally I'd put in stuff that we don't want to have negatively correlated, but because if I was mass entering a showdown GPP, I'd be a little bit more open to it. I'm just not going to overexpose myself to it. So if you think that that's only going to be 2% of lineups, then you only need to run 4 or 5% of your lineups to get different. So get a couple more variations that you think are going to be low owned as opposed to the people who are building. I mean, if you're building with Pat Bev or Nick Batum or one of these guys in the captain spot, right, you're doing it specifically to get certain players in. So a fade of Kawhi Leonard is possible, but it's also highly risky. So it's just how you want to do it. If you can get a little bit of negative correlation instead by having the 2 guards in, and that might get you off of the chalk build that was set up for the cheap captain.
A-Town, yeah, that does make sense. If A-Town cashes at least $10, he's gonna buy us a beer. Hell yeah, thanks, bro. Coors Light, I'll be good.
Yeah, bro.
All right, so Oubre, I'm gonna enter this lineup. All right, we if you guys are down, let's group enter this freaking lineup. Like, I'll fucking enter it. So Oubre.
Shit, that's not gonna work. Who do we like? We like Pat Bev, right?
We do. We also should try a Marcus Morris. You know what I mean?
Marcus Morris captain?
No, I mean in the flex. I'm not going to go that far.
Here, I'm not going to look for it. Here he is. So I think this is actually pretty solid. That's a 213 lineup.
Bev, do one without Kawhi.
Okay, well, 1 second. I want to see if I can find a contest for this. Oh, never mind. It's not enough time.
Bazemore, yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go instead of Bazemore. I'm going friggin' Looney in this lineup.
Oh god damn it! Didn't get any Looney.
I'm gonna throw some Looney in that lineup there. One minute to lock, guys. Rap Productions. Thanks, man. Thanks for joining us. Thanks. Thanks for supporting us. Yeah, Pat Bev cap lineup is pretty nice. It really is. I think that's kind of popping. I think this lineup ish or if you throw in Kawhi even. All right, we are locked. I hope you guys got it all in. So stick with us for another minute. Throw us a like real quick. We're going to talk about ownership here real quick, and then we'll send you guys on your way. A-Town, wanting to get into DFS podcast, don't know how to get started. Look, we're the same way, man. We don't know a ton of people in this industry. We just started to show ourselves. We love doing this shit. This is we're passionate about this stuff, so we just kind of started this ourselves. I have a film and TV background. Ellie has an analytics background, so we're just pairing up and kind of doing things here. Evan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Good luck. Yeah, A-Town, hit us up in the on Twitter and the DMs. All right, so let's look at ownership here.
Oh shit.
Oh Jesus H.
Yeah, turn off my share.
There you go. Gonna blow up. All right, so things are locked. Let's look at ownership.
Curry, 95%, 40% at captain. Shocking.
Oh, Jiminy Christmas, 40%. So Kawhi, 80% overall, 20% in the captain. See, Paul George, I knew it, dude. 45% and 10% in the captain.
Yeah, that seems absurdly low.
He's the same owned as Wiseman, and that's fucking stupid.
Brad Wanamaker, 10%.
Ken Bazemore, 16%. Pat Bev, 47%.
Did you get Looney in?
I got Looney into one lineup. What's he at?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't get him in time.
Oh yeah, here, hang on. Let me actually switch my only to Showdown, so it gets me rid of main slate. All right, so
Draymond's 22% and Ibaka's 24%.
24, interesting. I wish I would have. What was he projected for?
$31.
Projected for about 30-ish.
Yeah,
Not bad. It's not bad. Who else? Yeah, dude, it's crazy. In single entry, this is my single entry. Paul George is 40% owned.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty low, man.
6% in the captain. That is insane. And this isn't. I figured it was going to happen because people just weren't going to react to news for whatever reason, or maybe they're just scared. I'm more scared of Kawhi tonight than I am of Paul George.
Yeah, dude.
Damian Lee at 18% in single entry. Anything else popping out to you for ownership?
Not really, man. I'm just hoping I can get my cash gains to cash. Oh, bro. So DraftKings Sportsbook has what they call a no-brainer bet. They increased the odds of just any touchdown scored on wild card weekend to 2-1, right? So it's a max bet at $25. So I bet $25. It's gonna be free money, right? So
dude.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, guys, so we're gonna do another. Actually, while we're live, let's look at tomorrow's slate. Do we have a slate up for tomorrow when it comes to NBA?
Yeah.
Showdown. Who do we got? It just refreshed on me. Who do we got?
Let's pull it up. All right. I don't even bother using the fucking app. So we got Dallas and Denver, 10 p.m. Eastern.
10 p.m. Eastern, Dallas and Denver. That's going to be nice. Get some Luka action there. All right. So we're going to be live again tomorrow, same time, 6:15 Pacific, 9:15 Eastern. We also have 6 live showdown videos for NFL Showdown this weekend. Saturday, all the videos are already up and ready to be posted. So check out our schedule there. I think we're going live at, noon-ish or 11:45 Eastern for the first one.
We'll post a little chart in the Discord.
Yeah, for sure. In the Discord, we'll post everything. So hit us up. We appreciate the support, guys. Send us a like on the way out. We really appreciate it. And let us know how you guys do. All right. See you guys later.
We'll be right back.
Bye.